We're now entering the Windsor room, and this room houses my collection of royal memorabilia that we've collected from pretty much any country that we go to or had or have a royal family. I tend to collect items. This tree is rather special. They're all very special, but I would say this one is probably the most special one in the castle. This tree houses my large collection of White House Christmas ornament. And I have to give credit and thanks to my good friend Elizabeth Bensek from Huntington Beach, who had a large collection of White House ornament, which she's collected over the years. And last year we were having conversation and we talked about me having some White House ornament. And so she said, I'd like to give you my entire collection. And so I said, of course. And so this tree houses the collection of White House ornament. I believe the last time I checked, I have about 38 of them, but I could be a little off. But they're all very special, but I think this one is wonderful. There's President Kennedy. And then here is Jacqueline Bouvier Kennedy, his wife. And they all have, each year, there's one that comes out. So like this one, this is the White House, and it's from 2015, and then you flip it over, and there's the back of the White House, which I think is really wonderful. This is really cool. This is, I guess, a presidential train, and I don't know what year this is. I should know, but I don't know. But it's really cool. Here's another one that shows the Christmas tree at the White House, 2008. They're a little tricky to put on at times. And then this one is cool. This is from 2009. And then here is 2017. They all have wonderful White House. This one is really cool. This is one of the few that has a crystal insert. And this is from the year 2002, and that has a crystal. It would be nice if it would be Waterford or something like that. I doubt it, but it's really cool. This one is cool. That's a truck, White House. So this is from some president, 1929 to 33. You think, oh, Hoover. And then, of course, we have to have the American passport, which is, again, blown glass. Up here, this is the White House, 1990. And you see they've changed quite a bit. This is from 1990. And this one is from, I think, 2004. So there's a significant change from 1990 to 2004. They get much more elaborate. We're very blessed. We have very good friends in Denmark, and so we tend to go to Denmark every other year. But every time we see them, I'm fortunate that we get beautiful George Jensen Christmas ornament. And George Jensen is a very well-known and well-established designer in Denmark. The royal family gets all of their Christmas ornament from George Jensen. And so here we have the heart. We've got kind of a wreath here. More George Jensen. There's quite a few George Jensen pieces in this on this tree. This is really cool. We had the great opportunity. Again, we've been to Denmark several times, but once we had the opportunity to go to Amalienborg Palace, and this is one of their Christmas ornament that I was able to pick up while we were there. We've got stuff from Oberammergau, where we've seen the Passion Play. So on this tree, usually when we travel, I tend to pick up a Christmas ornament from whatever country we go to, and it ends up on this particular tree. This is really cool. This is a wedding at the White House. And Grover Cleveland on June 2nd, 1886. And so obviously he got married at the White House, and that was from 2007. And again, all of these, a majority of these came from my good friend Elizabeth Bensack. Check this one out. Isn't that really cool? This is a truck. And this is for the year 2012. And all of them are dedicated to a different president. And, I really should do more. This is from the year 1998. Pretty nice. They're all really beautiful, and I can't say enough about them. Again, here is year 2004. So that's a copy, because some of them I've had already, and then others Elizabeth gave to me. And so there is some duplicate on this tree. And frankly, I don't care, because I really like them, and it doesn't hurt to have more than one. Look at this one. This is really cute. This is for the year 2001. And, unfortunately, they all associated with a particular president, and they're dedicated to a particular president. Unfortunately, they're all in the boxes that they came in, and I just can't remember exactly which president they're dedicated to. Check this one out. This is Marine 1 or Marine 2, or whatever it's called, the chopper that the president used for transportation. And this is from 2019, but I think that's really cool. Maybe they'll come out with Air Force One. Unfortunately, they haven't done that yet, but it'll be really cool. And then on the top of this tree, we have the longest reigning monarch in the history of Great Britain, Queen Elizabeth II, and then there's a replica of the imperial state crown on the top of the tree. So it's just a wonderful tree that brings back a great deal of fond memories as one sit here and just look at the great things on this tree. This room houses my royal collection. To the right, it's my cabinet that houses the Russian Fabergé replicas that we've picked up on our trips to Russia. And then these pieces were given to us by my good friend Linda Beyond for Christmas gifts. And they're all beautiful porcelain pieces. And a great artist in California does these beautiful work with Swarovski crystal to embellish these pieces. But we've got quite a large collection from Linda. This cabinet, and then in this cabinet. So we have 2 there, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 so far. 9. I forgot this beautiful piece here. This cabinet houses some other things that we use for tea. This is the Catherine the Great china from Russia. And then below that, it's a Belgium set, a Lemieux, and everything gets used for tea. If you look on this wall, so this entire room, I don't believe there's any empty wall space. It's all filled with portraits, and these are all portraits of reigning monarchs throughout Europe. So here we go. That's Peter the Great, Catherine the Great of Russia. We've got Queen Elizabeth over here, a young Queen Elizabeth, Maximilian of Mexico. We've got Charles becoming Prince of Wales, Henry VIII, Juan Carlos and Sophia of Spain. We've got Princess Grace of Monaco, or real American princess. We got way on the top there is King Haakon and Queen Maud of Norway, and their grandson, who is Harald, who is the current king of Norway. Over here, that's a young Queen Mary, Queen Elizabeth's grandmother, who became Queen of England. We have over here, this one is rather cool. This is the marriage of Alex and Alexandra. No, I'm sorry, of Edward and Alexandra. Edward was Queen Victoria's son, who became King Edward of Great Britain, and his wife, a Danish princess, Alexandra of Denmark. And it shows all of their children and their parents, which I think is really cool. And that was done for their wedding. And then we've got King Ludwig of Bavaria, and he is the king that really did a lot of buildings in Bavaria. There's that wonderful place, I'm going to mispronounce it, but it's the castle that's built into the rock, and it's Walt Disney went there, Neuschwanstein, and did a replica of that castle for the Snow White Castle. But King Ludwig built that, and he died rather young, still a bit mysterious. He had beautiful palaces, but only lived in a small portion of the palace, and there was only one person that saw him on a daily basis. That was his one particular private secretary, and he had a obsession with Louis XIV and Versailles, and so he kind of mimicked Versailles as much as he can. Above here, that's Queen Victoria, and Michael took that picture from a chair. It was painted on a chair at the Victoria and Albert Museum, which I think is really cool. And there is King Harold and Queen Sonia of Norway. Above them is Maria Theresa of Austria. And then beside her is Bonnie, Prince of Wales, the last Stuart prince, who some people, the Jacobite prince, some people think he is still the rightful ruler of Scotland. And then beside that, it's the 9 kings of Thailand. Obviously, they have a new king today. So it is quite a lot of royal memorabilia. If you look above the door, we've got the last imperial family of Russia, Nicholas, and his one son.